Okay, clauses. This is going to be difficult for you, I'm afraid. I don't know how to make it easy. When I was a student, I remember clauses being a little bit confusing to me. I'm going to try to make it as easy as I can, and we'll run with it. We'll see how you do. This is not going to make or break your English grade, but it is important. When you learn clauses, you'll be able to figure out what is a complete sentence and what is not. And that's going to help you out a lot because you don't want to go to a job interview or do a writing assignment for something important, like an essay for a college application or something, and have things that you thought were sentences or independent clauses, but were really just subordinate clauses or fragments, incomplete sentences. That would be embarrassing. So this is important. It's also useful because it'll tell you when to use commas in a sentence, and that's very important too, comma rules. And that's always confusing for people, is when do I use comma? It's a confusing part of punctuation in our language. So let me explain this to you as best I can. A clause is basically, quite simply, a noun plus a verb. Now that noun is going to function as a subject in the sentence, or in the clause. Okay? Not all clauses are sentences. Some of them are. So a clause is a noun and a verb working together. Now they'll have other things with them. They'll have other parts of speech that work with them. There are 8 parts of speech. This is only 2 of the 8, right? There are another 6 kinds of words that might work with these 2 in a clause. You might have a preposition and a prepositional phrase, obviously, in that clause. You might have adjectives and adverbs modifying the noun and verb in that clause. All that's possible. What makes it one of the 2 kinds of clauses? That's what we want to figure out. There are 2 kinds of clauses, independent and subordinate. You remember that subordinate means it can't be on its own. It depends on someone or something else. A subordinate clause is not a complete thought. Even though it has a subject and a verb, it cannot be its own sentence. An example would be, because of sharks. Because of sharks. Actually, that's not really a clause. Let me redo that. Because I am afraid of sharks. Yeah, that last one was a prepositional phrase. This is a clause because it has a subject and a verb. I is the subject, right? And am is the verb. All right, this is a subordinate clause. Subordinate because it needs an independent clause to be a sentence. By itself, it's not good enough. It's subordinate. All right? It has to bow to a greater clause, an independent one, in order to be complete. So, because I am afraid of sharks, let's give it an independent clause. I did not go swimming. Okay? I did not go swimming. That can be its own sentence. It is an independent clause. It's independent because it has a subject and a verb. That's did go swimming. Not is an adverb. It answers to what extent he went swimming. Well, the extent was not at all. Not, right? So not is an adverb. I did not go swimming. It's a complete idea. You can tell that. It's its own thought. It could be its own sentence. Now, usually, well, always, a subordinate clause like this is going to start with one of these words. In this case, it's because. It's a subordinating conjunction. If you go back a few pages, and this is going to be very helpful for you, okay? If you really want to get your mind around this, go back a few pages here. I'm going back to it now, looking for it. Oh, it's in chapter 2, where it has a list of subordinating conjunctions. Go back there and find that as I keep flipping the pages here. Okay, it's chapter